Not every question that Red Dead Redemption 2 raises has a clear solution, and some information has proven very hard to come by. These are the biggest unanswered questions still lurking in Red Dead Redemption 2. Strap on your saddle, sharpen your spurs, and start hunting. The truth is out there. Bigfoot has appeared in every major GTA and Red Dead title since Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, so players expected to see him in Red Dead Redemption 2 based on tradition alone. So far, you don't actually get to witness the Sasquatch yourself, you simply talk with him about his dating woes through a stone barrier, but it's still pretty clear who you're speaking with. But there's the skeleton of another mysterious creature hidden in the game as well, and its identity isn't quite so obvious. The pile of bones can be found on Mount Shan, a key location in many of Red Dead Redemption 2's weirdest mysteries. Whatever the creature was, it was absolutely massive, and it probably wasn't human. In his journal, Arthur wonders how big the man was, or if he was a man at all. Those could be the remains of a Sasquatch. It could also be an alien, a mutant, or something else entirely. Where did it come from? How did it die? Are there more of them lurking in the mountains? So far, Rockstar's not telling. The Emerald Ranch is a minor but important location in the early stages of the game. It's also the site of something so unspeakably horrific that nobody involved will talk about it, depriving the rest of us of the answers that we desperately crave. At first, Emerald Ranch seems like a normal, functioning farmstead in New Hanover. Stick around for a while, however, and you'll notice that things seem off. The ranch's old saloon has been abandoned, and inside, you'll find the bloodstains and bullet holes everywhere. Approach the ranch owner at his home, and he'll make it very clear that he doesn't appreciate visitors. Then there's the owner's daughter. She's still there, but she never, ever leaves. You can see her on the second floor of the ranch house, where she can be found peeking through the windows, watching the world she's abandoned pass her by. As of right now, we don't know why the young woman decided to retreat from public life. All we can say for sure is, whatever it was, it probably wasn't very nice. The city of Saint Denis has bigger problems than train robbers, bandits, and gunslingers. There's a vampire feeding on the city's residents too. Seriously, as you explore the city's cobblestone streets, you'll run across a series of cryptic messages, most of which have to do with drinking blood. If you find all 6 pieces of writing, the killer actually appears in an alleyway.
Stay back for your own sake. I walk with the undead.
According to a newspaper clipping, however, there's more to the story. As it turns out, the city's resident bloodsucker has been at this for a while. Years before the events of Red Dead Redemption 2, bodies started appearing around Saint Denis, sporting animal-like bite marks. Near the carcasses, the killer left messages written in blood. It's no wonder that the citizens of Saint Denis are alarmed that the entire cycle is repeating again. They're also probably pretty surprised, given that they arrested and executed a man for the killings the first time around. As the newspaper explains, an Argentinian immigrant named Bosco Lopez was hanged for the first set of murders. Was Bosco a vampire, or was he killed for crimes he didn't commit? If Bosco wasn't dead, has he returned for another helping, or is this a new creature of the night? Even in a world filled with stories, Bosco Lopez's is remarkably compelling and sadly still untold. Princess Isabeau Katrina Zinsmeister was only a child when she went missing while the royal family of Luxembourg were visiting the United States on a hunting trip. Young Isabeau disappeared from the lodge where they were staying and was never found. Some posit that the girl was kidnapped, although there wasn't a ransom note. Others theorize that wild animals ate her, although no body has ever been discovered. Now, 15 years later, the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg is offering a $100 prize for any information that leads to Isabeau, and they're making sure that everyone knows about it. If you've played the game, then you know that $100 is a lot of cash for Arthur, and players are eagerly scouring the map for Isabeau in hopes of scoring the reward. So far, they haven't found her, although a few players think they've tracked down a couple of clues. In the Van Horn trading post, there's a suitcase decorated with the initials IKZ and the Luxembourg Royal Crest. Unfortunately, the second floor is inaccessible, so if Isabeau is up there, she'll be waiting for a while. If she's not, well, she could be anywhere. Start looking now. Finding her is going to take some time. The Donkey Lady started as a glitch back in 2010, when the original Red Dead Redemption was only a few months old. YouTube user Where the Boots posted a short video featuring a woman who had merged with a donkey, forming a creature that hero John Marston could jump on top of and ride around. It's just as funny as it is horrific, and the donkey-faced lady quickly became a fan favorite. In Red Dead 2, she's back, and now she's canon. This time, though, she's sparking a whole new mystery. By traveling to Two Crows, you can find the Donkey Lady tied to a mill, or what's what's left of her anyway. The clothes and face are a match, but this donkey lady has been dead for a long time. But is she actually half woman, half donkey? When Arthur Morgan encounters the donkey lady's remains, he writes, "What was this poor thing?" in his journal. She's tied to a mill like a beast of burden would be, but is she one creature, or the bones of two different ones that have been mixed together? If that's the case, however, who dressed up the bodies in clothing and tethered them to a mill? Allegedly, a Yale-based paleontologist is on the case. It looks like we'll have to wait until he's finished investigating to find out more. Not all of Red Dead Redemption 2's horrors occur naturally. By traveling west from the Van Horn trading post, you can find an old abandoned house. Its doors are locked and most of its windows boarded up, but it's possible to scale the building and enter a second-story window. You'll quickly discover that nobody is home. Nobody human, that is. While the house's occupants are long gone, their work, the so-called Man-Made Mutant, remains. You'll find the grotesque beast tied to one of the research laboratory's walls, notes regarding the creation scattered around, and a blood-covered operating table in the middle of the room to complete the grisly tableau. The creature, which was seemingly Frankenstein together by a mad scientist, is horrifying, with the heart and head of a boar, a bear's body, part of a human skull, and a vulture's wings. Thankfully, it also doesn't seem to be alive. Yet. Unfortunately, that's everything we know about it. Did the mutant's unknown creator ever flip the switch? Or are they still waiting for the right moment to bring their dark progeny to life? Has he left his work behind for good? Or will he return to finish the job? And what was the plan here anyway? The mysteries remain, but you know what? The Man-Made Mutant is one secret that we're happy to keep dead and buried. Red Dead Redemption 2 is no stranger to the living dead. The first game's one and only single-player expansion pack, Undead Nightmare, was all about them.
The dead have risen, and a virulent plague is turning people into flesh-eating crazies.
But in case you've forgotten, that adventure wasn't canon. The best guess among fans is that, as the name implies, it was one really bad dream. And yet, as you've seen, Red Dead Redemption 2 is full of supernatural, paranormal, and cryptozoological creatures, and zombies would fit right in with all the ghosts and vampires hanging around. As a result, players weren't too surprised when a group of dirty, furious men came stumbling out of Blue Water Marsh. But are these zombies, or just some really pissed-off swamp people? It's hard to say. We know that the attackers are known as the Nite folk, as explained on a note carried by one of their victims, but that doesn't say much about their origins. Blue Water Marsh is definitely haunted, but on the other hand, there's no real indication that the Nite folk are undead, and so the debate continues. Red Dead Redemption 2 goes out of its way to make your horse feel important. If you don't brush it, it loses health. The more that you ride, the stronger the bond between you grows, and the more abilities it gains. There's a dedicated button for feeding your horse. There's another just to pet it. As a result, it can be pretty traumatic when a horse dies. It's even worse when it spontaneously combusts while you're riding on it. That's exactly what happened to players who happen to find themselves at an intersection just north of roads, where horses and other NPCs seem to burst into flames every time they reach the crossroads. Wow, this actually happened to me, how strange. Realistically, these massive horse-fueled bonfires are probably a glitch, and no one would be surprised if it disappears after a patch sometime down the line. Given how weird Red Dead Redemption 2's world is though, it's almost impossible to say for certain. If the fires of hell really are spreading to Earth to wreak havoc on beasts and men, well, it'd just be one more entry in a long line of unsolved mysteries. 8 years after launch, the biggest mystery of the original Red Dead Redemption still hasn't been solved. While John Marston meets the strange man 3 times in his inaugural outing, the mustachioed, top-hat-wearing gentleman's true identity remains unknown. He knows what Marston is going to do before he does it, and he hints that Marston's tragic death is a foregone conclusion. Is he God? Satan? Death? A personification of Marston's troubled conscience? Or something else entirely?
Damn you! Yes, many have.
Many fans hoped that Red Dead Redemption 2 would provide answers. They're still hoping. The strange man absolutely shows up in Red Dead Redemption 2. You can find his picture in Armadillo, but it's more of a cameo than a real appearance. Or is it? As many players have noticed, Josiah Trelawny, one of the more enigmatic members of the Vandalin gang, looks an awful lot like the strange man. Is Trelawny the shadowy figure that's plagued Red Dead fans for the past 8 years? He could be.
I've missed you! And Bill looking as well as can be? Gentlemen, always a pleasure.
Trelawny doesn't stay in camp with the rest of the gang and seems to vanish when it's time to depart. He's also a magician, an occupation that usually comes with the Strange Man's signature top hat. In Red Dead Redemption, the Strange Man implies that he's met John Marston before, but despite their common acquaintances, we never really see Marston and Trelawny interacting in Red Dead 2. Both Trelawny and the Strange Man are fixated on Heidi McCourt, one of the victims of the Vanderlyn gang's botched Blackwater robbery. It's not a perfect fit. For one thing, their voices don't sound alike, but if it were, it wouldn't be an unanswered question.